On June 11, 1962, a fleet of FBI helicopters rushed to Alcatraz Island, the otherwise inescapable prison in San Francisco Bay, searching for escaped convicts from the island whose survival is still unknown.
The escape occurred overnight and prison guards only discovered the empty cells this morning. Police and the Coast Guard launched an extensive search, but so far there is no sign of the escapees.
Just a few hours earlier, an ordinary night had become one of the strangest in history. Using a simple spoon stolen from the kitchen, they managed to open a ventilation hatch and climb into the attic where their plan began. What happened that night could remain unanswered forever. Inside cell block B, the air was filled with the smell of salt corrosion, damp concrete, stale sweat, and the metallic smell of impending rebellion. Frank Morris, designated AZ-1441, lay motionless on his bed in cell 138, every nerve in sync with the measured steps of the night guard patrolling the line. Beside him lay a grotesque doll made weekly from stolen soap, concrete dust and toilet paper, painted with skin-colored pigments stolen from the maintenance shop and crowned with real human hair carefully collected from the barbershop floor. Down the hall, in cells 146 and 148, brothers John Anglin, AZ-1476, and Clarence Anglin, AZ-1485, held similar silent vigils beside their fictional heads. Beyond the walls, the infamous Gulf Stream churned unseen. Water temperatures of 14 degrees Celsius, capable of incapacitating hypothermia within 20 minutes and rushing at 8 knots. This concrete fortress, home to incorrigibles like Al Capone, stood on the verge of shattering its central myth of inevitability. Alcatraz's reputation as an escape-proof place was built on brutal geography and psychological control. The island itself, a barren 22-acre rock 1.25 miles from the San Francisco skyline, served as the first immutable barrier. The surrounding waters were a flowing moat, average temperatures of 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius, complex tidal waves and unpredictable eddies capable of carrying objects miles from shore. The prison structure enforced control through barred windows, electronic gates, gun turrets, and a soul-crushing routine. Frank Morris earned his designation in January 1960. His criminal trajectory followed a grim arc. He was orphaned early, his first conviction at age 13. Prison psychologists noted his exceptional intelligence, IQ 133, and a proven genius for escaping from detention, including Angola prison in Louisiana, a feat that earned him his transfer to Alcatraz. Brothers John and Clarence Anglin, transferred for persistent escape attempts, were hardened farm laborers in Georgia, recognized as extremely strong swimmers after years spent in the icy waters of Lake Michigan. The daily routine at Alcatraz was strict and monotonous. Prisoners were woken by a whistle at 6:30, had breakfast at 6:55, and work duties began at 7:20 and continued throughout the day, with short breaks and meals. The last lockup was at 4:45 p.m. and lights out at 9:30 p.m. This schedule, along with regular nightly counts, was intended to prevent any opportunity for escape. But Morris and Anglins were patient. They knew that escaping from Alcatraz required months of careful planning and preparation. Alan West, a car thief with a history of escape attempts, rounded out the initial group. Assigned to adjacent cells in December 1961, these men shared a common obsession: to beat the impregnable prison. Morris identified a critical structural vulnerability: the ventilation grills beneath the cell's sink. The salty air had eroded the surrounding concrete. Their digging tools were primitive but effective: stainless steel spoons sharpened against the concrete, amplified by a drill from a vacuum cleaner motor. The agonizingly slow process of widening the hole required nightly labor. The noise was an existential threat. Morris's countermeasure was elegantly simple. During the evening music hour, 7 to 9:30 p.m., he played his accordion hard. The screeching notes provided acoustic cover for the scraping of metal against concrete. Cardboard, painted to match the walls, concealed progress between sessions. After 6 months, the holes were passable. Behind them lay an unguarded back passageway, a security blind spot. This damp passageway became their secret highway. Climbing through the water pipes, they reached the empty space above the cell block ceiling, a dust-choked, curtained attic where their escape vessel would take shape. As they widened the openings in the cell walls, the conspirators began gathering materials for the next phase of their plan. They needed to make a raft and life jackets to cross the bay. Due to the silent complicity of the prisoners, the convicts forgot their clothes while in the yard. Morris and Anglins found them. The transformative breakthrough came in the prison library in the November 1960 issue of Popular Mechanics. The article detailed the vulcanization of rubber. Applying this knowledge meticulously, they applied cement along the seams of raincoats and used ambient heat from steam pipes, 49 to 62 degrees Celsius, to weld them into a raft measuring 6 feet by 14 feet. Using more than 50 raincoats stolen from other prisoners, they constructed an inflatable raft, and the seams were sealed with heat from the prison's steam pipes. They made the life jackets in the same way. They used pieces of wood and brass screws for the oars. The ultimate deception: soap and toilet paper dolls, painted with stolen pigments, embedded with hair from a prison hair salon, placed on pillows with blankets stuffed to mimic sleeping bodies. These macabre dolls were constructed to deceive during nighttime checks and by the critical morning counting hours. Placed on pillows and viewed in the dim light of the cells, they gave the impression that the prisoners were sleeping peacefully. On June 11, 1962, after more than a year of preparation, they were ready. That evening, after the final count at 9:30 p.m., Morris and the Anglin brothers removed the false covers from the cell walls and slipped through the openings they had created. Alan West, however, ran into a problem. The cement around his opening had hardened, and he was unable to break through in time to join the others. He stayed behind, later revealing details of his escape plan to investigators. Morris and the Anglins climbed up the pipes to a roof ventilation shaft. The opening of the cover caused a loud bang that the guards dismissed as infrastructure noise, a critical lapse in vigilance. Pulling out their gear, they emerged onto the windswept roof. Running 30 meters to the kitchen chimney, they descended a 15-meter-long greasy pipe, crossed a courtyard, climbed 2 barbed wires, and descended the rocks to the northeast bank, where they had earlier hidden a raft and life jackets. At the water's edge, they donned life jackets and inflated the raft using a modified accordion stolen from inmate Fred Brizzy as the bellows. Between 22:50 and 23:30, they set off in the darkness with a temperature of 13 degrees Celsius, aiming for Angel Island, 2.4 to 3 kilometers north across the dangerous slot currents in the bay. They disappeared in the 9 degrees Celsius fog. What happened next remains one of the greatest mysteries in American criminal history. The dolls passed multiple nightly checks without a hitch. During the 7 a.m. count, Officer William Johnson shook Morris in cell 138. When he pushed his head in, it fell off the bed. The entire prison was immediately placed on lockdown. Sirens wailed across the island as guards frantically searched every corner. When Alan West was questioned, he revealed details of the escape plan. Warden Olin Blackwell launched a massive manhunt. The FBI, Coast Guard, marshals, and police searched the bay and the mainland for 10 days. Helicopters and patrol boats scoured the surrounding waters. Teams scoured the shores of Angel Island, Tiburon, and Marin County for days, searching for any sign of the fugitives. The evidence was fragmentary: a handmade paddle near Angel Island, a plastic-wrapped package with photos of the Anglins and family addresses, the remains of a torn raincoat near the Golden Gate Bridge, a deflated life jacket 50 meters from Alcatraz. However, no evidence was found to confirm whether the fugitives reached the coast or perished in the bay. There is no body. The FBI closed its case in 1979, concluding that the overwhelming preponderance of the evidence pointed to a drowning, with the bodies swept into the Pacific Ocean. They cited the low temperature of the water, about 12 degrees Celsius that night, strong currents, and the fact that no credible trail of the fugitives had ever been confirmed. According to their theory, the makeshift raft disintegrated in the rough waters, leaving them to succumb to hypothermia within hours. The absence of the body and the Anglins' documented swimming skills raised suspicions. In January 2013, San Francisco police received an anonymous letter. "My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in June 1962 with my brother Clarence and Frank Morris. I am 83 years old and in poor health. I have cancer. Yes, we all made it that night, but just barely.